Captain, a vessel approaching.
On screen.
We're being hailed.
Every weekend over at gearwebsites.com, our online store, we have free Patch Friday. And that means that every order placed on our store on Fridays is going to include at least one free patch. So that's every order with no coupons, no minimum order, no codes needed. You place the order on Friday, and when it arrives to you, it's going to have at least one free patch. Your support means a lot to us, and financial support is critical. So thanks again to the people who keep us online through purchases at gearwebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Hey, and welcome everybody to another rerun episode. So yesterday everything fell apart. Trying to do it at night, so trying it again this morning. It seems like it's working a lot better. I don't know if they really had congestion on their server last night or not. My computer's running as poorly as it was, but their server seems to be working if it was on their end. So anyway, apologize to everybody who tried to listen in last night. It was a crap show of slow screens and bad connections. So there wasn't really that many people showing up live anyway, so we just cut it short. But there was a lot of good stuff to talk about, and this whole point of this project is to summarize the week. So if people are in a hurry or just trying to look back in the future at what happened, they've got something that goes back and does that. So like I said, there's been some interesting things happening this week. Let's take a second or a couple of minutes here and go back and take a look at the week. So I do this live instead of doing it as a recorded, produced thing, which would probably be better because then it would be recorded and produced and it would be better. But that's not my goal. I'm not trying to do the fanciest thing here. What we're trying to do is every week take a look back at what's been going on with a focus on what the Second Amendment protects. And because the way I do it, we're going to look at a couple other things too, but mostly gun-related stuff here, or freedom-related stuff, I guess. But so we go back, take a look at the stuff I've been watching on YouTube, and that'll bring up some other things. But I do this live, so the whole point of the internet is that it's back and forth, unlike any of the ways that we've had throughout our humanity to transmit information. The internet is the first real-time interactive version of that. And I'm a big fan of that. So thanks to the people that join us live. You're here in the morning, which normally this is a nighttime show, an overnight show. So welcome and feel free to participate. But we are focusing on what's been going on this week for 2A. And with that in mind, let me bring up the screen here. And we'll just let that be the screen. And I'll mention that over on the YouTube side, even though we are streaming to a couple of different platforms, actually a bunch of different platforms this morning, over on the YouTube one, I guess I could put a link for that. Oh, wait a minute. Will this link only go out to YouTube? I think this link only goes out to YouTube. But in case this link, maybe this link does go out to some of the other platforms. But anyway, if you head over to the YouTube, you can vote in the poll and let us know, how would you think this week was for 2A? Was it great, good, okay, or bad? Mike White's out there. Welcome. Got you going to sleep, got you waking up. So thanks for joining us. So there was one new video that came out, watched this morning, Gun Owners America talking to Massey And that one's about 15 minutes long, worth checking out. And one part in particular is worth checking out, and we are going to start the show by getting copyrighted by the Gun Owners of America, probably. Hopefully they don't, come on. Hopefully they don't take down this video because of this clip. But I didn't find a clip feature. There used to be a feature on YouTube that lets me take clips and put them on my YouTube channel, and I can even show you over here. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, see this thing that says clips? Usually you can basically take a clip from a show, from somebody else's video, and put it on your YouTube channel. It's a way to say, look at this, it's cool. But now they call it copyright, I guess. But anyway, this is worth getting copyrighted for. I'm going to make this full screen so you can check it out. Not really much to look at, but listen to this. This is worth listening to, I guess.
Because phone calls matter. You may think they don't, but in my office, there might be days where I only get 3 phone calls.
Oh, hold on. I listened to everything in fast speed. I forgot. So let's listen to that again.
Matter. You may think they don't, but in my office, there might be days where I only.
So just want to thank you. Oh, yeah. Anything
I'm glad
last
you
thing.
mentioned the phone number, because phone calls matter. You may think they don't, but in my office, there might be days where I only get 3 phone calls, and I represent 750,000 people. And I have been on.
Let's think about that for a second.
So just want to thank you. Oh, yeah. Anything
I'm glad
last
you
thing.
mentioned the phone number, because phone calls matter.
Phone calls matter. This is a representative in Congress. Represents, what do you say, 750,000 people?
You may think they don't, but in my office, there might be days where I only get 3 phone calls, and I represent 750,000 people.
And of all the Congress people, wouldn't you think this guy who's in the news constantly, controversial, takes opinions on stuff, of everybody who's getting phone calls, wouldn't you think that this guy would be one of the people getting the phone calls? 3 phone calls a day, occasionally?
Because phone calls matter. You may think they don't, but in my office, there might be days where I only get 3 phone calls, and I represent 750,000 people. And I have been on the floor of the House of Representatives with members who aren't sure which way to vote, and they've literally asked me, how many phone calls did you get on this issue? And my advice, when you make those phone calls, there's only 3 calls to make. Everybody who's watching this has 2 U.S. senators and 1 U.S. representative. You could call Nancy Pelosi's office. I don't think they're going to write your message down and give it to Nancy Pelosi. But if you call one of those 3 people that you can vote for, even if you don't like their politics in other areas, somebody there is going to write that down and tell their boss that there was a phone call. In fact, we're standing here in my office. The walls aren't very thick. When the phone rings on the other side there, even though I might not be answering it, I can hear it light up. I can hear it ringing. And members of Congress, they'll rouse from their desk and walk to the door and say, why is our phones ringing? And it could be because GOA sent out an alert.
That is fantastic to hear.
So that's legit. I think that's worth sharing. That's why I wanted to start the show out with that. Hopefully they don't copyright me too bad for that. But that one, I think it's a recent video. Does it say when it came out? Oh, it only came out 38 minutes ago. So it's a brand new video. Great message, though. And I did this last night, but let's do it again. Let's say you're in a chat like you are right now. There's a whole bunch of people listening right now. If you're watching, then look at the screen right now. I went over to the internet, right? And I'm typing in contact your senator. Look, it shows up because I type it all the time. So contact your senator. And the first thing that comes up for me, at least, is the AI effort to answer my question. So I can go right here. Call the U.S. Capitol switchboard to be connected to your senator's office. And that's what I usually grab and then paste it into whatever chats I'm in. It's that simple to get the word out there. He just said that is, Massey, the guy who, again, you would think would be getting phone calls on a regular basis. There's days when he gets 3 phone calls. So any number of phone calls matter. And in a time like this where they're debating whether or not to remove the short act from this stuff, and then how quickly to move everything through, it's a great time to exercise that muscle. We've got these muscles. We've got these abilities. We can sit quietly or do something about it. Likewise says, I called Maxine Waters' office. For some reason, I had a sneezing fit there. Sorry about that. But maybe I gave a respectful moment of silence. I appreciate that. A lot of people would say, what's the point of calling, blah, blah, blah. She obviously hates guns or whatever. Well, it's frustrating when you have a representative who's, locked to one side of an issue, but I definitely appreciate you taking the time to make that call. Again, it's a muscle that we can exercise, and sometimes you exercise that hitting a punching bag, and sometimes you get to punch something in the face, but you don't always get to punch something in the face. And if you wait to only punch things in the face, guess who's going to have the weakest punch out there? So I appreciate you punching that punching bag once in a while, even though it doesn't seem like you get a lot of gain from it. Unapologetically Armed is joining us. Welcome. Speaking of heavy hitters. Phoning matters. He says phoning matters. Emailing matters. Writing it yourself, not the form letters. Showing up definitely matters. Yeah, are they? They're not in that order, right? I think that showing up is obviously takes the most effort. You have to cost, right, time, and then it shows that you have ultimate interest. Showing up with a group of people, I think, is also, I don't know which one of those would be more effective, honestly, because group of people obviously is a good thing, but you're also showing up with a group of people. That's a little easier. So individuals showing up, I don't know which one of those honestly is better, but showing up is probably the ultimate, right? Then I'd say rallies is right behind that, because rallies show that there's a lot of people that want to show up and are willing to show up to a rally. So I think that's, less on the spectrum. But then I think phoning, and then I think emailing, because I think emailing is so easy. And then those form letters that are out there. Those form letters certainly give the organization some clout. And if you listen to this full Gun Owners of America conversation, Rep. Massey says in there, the only reason we listen to Gun Owners of America is because you got a massive membership base, and that gives you power and a voice that we're going to listen to as representatives. So it's necessary to have these organizations, and it's a shame that people are willing to ditch our largest organization so easily due to marketing and bad apples, right? Throwing out the whole fucking bundle, the whole fucking apple orchard because of a fucking bad apple or 3 or 100 even. But anyway, so we've got these organizations that are necessary, but they're certainly not the only thing that's out there, because form letters are form letters. I don't care what anybody says. Do a form letter, and you know what I mean? Like, unless you're unable, then make a form letter and a phone call and your own letter, and show up if you can. You're not going to show up as, well, I guess if you show up with, I'll shut up. Phoning matters, emailing matters, and showing up definitely matters. I agree. Mike Whiteout's out there, and they all work together to build a wave. Well said. Again, there's not like one magic thing here. It's just again, it's a muscle that we can exercise if we choose to, and we're better off when we do. All right, so getting into some shorts. I was just watching my own shorts there, so there's nothing big there. But there is one here from Foss, who hosts the overnight show tonight. Normally I have to say tomorrow, but tonight, overnight, Saturday nights, is the best time you can spend on the internet. Stay up, take a nap beforehand, and then stay up late and hang out overnight. But he's making a video about putting his pistol into a little, I guess you'd call it a locker or a vault. Gizzard posted about one of the new Civivis out there. Civivi's a pretty cool knife company. They make some pretty awesome knives, and they send them to Gizzard and myself, a couple other people, to review on the regular, and it's really cool because they really do make a lot of cool knives. Gizzard makes better reviews than I do, so if you want to go check them out, it's got a 3-minute review over there. You're lucky if my reviews are a minute long. Let's see. Then we've got Gun Owners Radio. I don't even remember watching this one, so maybe this one rolled up when I wasn't watching. But Gun Owners Radio does their show on Sunday evenings, and Sunday evenings for probably most of the country, Sunday afternoons, depending on what part of the country you're in. And they record it now, unfortunately, but the premieres are still pretty lively. People do show up. Like I say, I value the interactive nature of the internet, and we're better off when we know each other and when we're not introducing ourselves to each other when we meet in person. I can tell you this from many years of experience being online and meeting up with people. The worst part about meeting up with people is having to introduce yourselves when you already know each other. It's annoying and lame. So many of the structured events that we have out there are weak because they don't realize that. And I'm not here to rag on them, but that's one of the frustrating parts, that we have the ability to know each other very well. In fact, some of us know each other like best friends, never having met each other. So when we do meet each other, we're just stepping off like people have known each other their whole lives. Where when you don't get together online and you only know each other superficially through formal introductions or whatever you want to say, like just informal, or I don't know what the words are. But if you only know each other through comments and occasionally seeing each other online, knowing of each other, then you waste all your valuable time in person introducing yourselves, especially in these structured situations. And that's just pathetic at this point. In 2025, I understood it in 2015, the first time I experienced it. In 2016 and 17, when I saw it happening, I started to get frustrating and I didn't know how to enunciate it. And then by 20 whatever, we got into gun channels and we started to eliminate that problem. And then I tried to explain that facet, but it's lost on many of the people who, again, don't go online and actually talk to each other online. They only go online to drop their links and go online to make a couple of bucks. And they don't understand the power that we have with this interactive internet to know each other, so that when we need to get together, we're that much stronger. Don't think that the other side showing up in the numbers they do are all friends with each other, except for the fact that they hate Trump and they align against our rights and our property. They don't get together, and they're paid half the time, right? Like, so that's something that it's a muscle that we don't exercise. It's something we definitely leave on the table. There's some organizations out there that are stopgaps, right? Like when the ladies from the from the Women for Gun Rights, I wish they would have left the other name, Women for Gun Rights, when they get together, of course, with the teal, they can have you can kind of see what I'm talking about. When they get together, they all know each other. They don't have to shake hands and spend half their visit introducing each other to each other. I'll move on. I think this was the show last night that sucked. It was only 23 minutes long. I think we've already beat that now. The Senate. Oh, this is Gunners America talking about the bird rule. Honestly, I didn't think that video was necessary for 10 minutes. I'd rather keep promoting that part about Massey saying what he said about the representatives getting so few phone calls and how much those phone calls matter. This is pretty much when the thing crapped out last night. I don't even think I got into any of this stuff, but this Dead Warrior Society, thanks to Tony. Tony and I do a show later on today on Saturday afternoons, so check that one out. But a couple weeks ago, he told me about this channel, something he had listened to. It's a podcast, and he had listened to it, and I've been listening. I'm subscribed to it now, and this one was excellent. This was hour and a half talking about some aspects of the origin of the Green Berets that most people don't hear, most people don't think about, and it doesn't get talked about because it's not movie-ish, that kind of stuff. And it's all the good stuff, so it's definitely worth listening to. Let's see, then we have I don't remember her name. Does it say in here? Katerina is the Canadian reporter, I guess. I don't know what to call it. Affiliate for Borderland. And Borderlands, of course, is doing the okay, remember what they call it. But they're doing a series now on the cartels. And as a Canadian who goes to Mexico or lives in Mexico, I think, and follows the cartels in lots of different ways, Katerina understands the situation in Canada and the number of, the the size and the scale of the cartels coming through or pushing stuff through to the United States through the Canadian border. This is a 27-minute episode, but she also gets into, in addition to the Canada stuff, or maybe she doesn't even get into the Canada stuff, honestly. I might be mixing them up. But that's what she's been doing, is talking about the cartels as a reporter for Borderland. And in this one, she talks about the oil, how the cartel's second or third largest income source at this point is stealing oil from the pipelines in Mexico and then just bringing it up to the United States and selling it, because it's oil. Nobody blinks at oil. It's not. There's no cocaine in it, and there's no marijuana in it. So let it go through. It's just oil. So they're stealing billions. I forget how many billions of dollars worth of oil, and it's one of their largest income sources now. Farms are taken over by the cartels in an attempt to launder and to just expand their reach. So there's quite a few products that we would be eating that are basically completely, if not completely owned, they're at least touched by the cartels at this point. So an interesting episode for sure. And I would say it's consumable. I rather watch an hour-long episode sometimes, but I guess a 20-minute kind of debrief is interesting. And she's on the ground. She's got, I don't think we talked about it this week, or was it not last week? She was at the border by Mexico, over in New Mexico at the international border, kind of getting yelled at by the Border Patrol for farting around at the border. And that was pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know if it accomplished anything, but it is cool to see that Borderland is on the ground reporter, whatever you call that. All right, then we get to the Second Amendment Foundation, who's got this guy, and I don't know what they're doing. So they're trying to do the gun rights policy conference, and this guy is bounced around, and now he's with the Second Amendment Foundation, and I don't know, he puts on a cowboy hat, and I guess he's trying to make it funny. He's trying to get the people on Reddit, the ironic kids out there, to want to go to JRPC by telling them a bunch of lawyers are going to lecture you again with the same thing they said last year. I don't know. Then we get Foss talking about his knife for rock climbing. So I use a totally different knife for rock climbing, but this is a pretty good video. And he talks about a 50-something ounce pen that he uses, or he's going to be using for rock climbing. I feel like there should be some background music. I want to thank again the people who are commenting. Again, the internet, you got the ability to comment on the internet. You can listen to things if you want, I guess, if you're driving. But if you're driving, just hand the phone to somebody who isn't driving and say, tell them this. And then they would type in with their thumbs. Or if you're sitting there watching the internet on your phone or a computer, you can just type in with your keyboard and be part of the show. So that does happen. It is legal. Going on to Gun Owners Radio out of San Diego. San Diego Gun Owners host a show each Sunday. As I mentioned before, it's now a premiere, but there's still a pretty good group of people that show up. They have a kind of a campaign to encourage people to subscribe to their YouTube channel. I think they start at $5 a month. So if you're interested in participating through YouTube in supporting an organization that, in my opinion, and I think they've won awards for it, are one of the best local organizations out there, then consider subscribing to the Gun Owners Radio YouTube channel. Again, that's San Diego Gun Owners is the name of the nonprofit organization that is behind the effort. They called their YouTube channel Gun Owners Radio. I think they talked about that one time. Mike White might remember. I think they talked about why they called it Gun Owners Radio, not San Diego Gun Owners Radio. But it's an organization that started fairly recently in California. Talk about an uphill battle, and a lot of people would have, well, most people, how many people live in California? There's 7 million plus gun owners, and there's certainly some people that are active, but nobody really decided to start an organization in San Diego until this group did. And they've been very effective in fighting the challenges that gun shows have faced, as well as making people understand the nature of the politicians, because it's not as simple in California as Republican and Democrat. It sounds like they have quite a few nuances to that, and they offer a lot of. It might have been a long time ago, because I do remember. I think I remember him talking about it, and it wasn't like they spent a lot of time. But anyway, I'm going to take a break and try to drink something, because I feel like I'm fighting something in my throat here. So I guess this.
Captain, a vessel approaching.
On screen.
We're being hailed.
Every weekend over at PureWebsites.com, our online store, we have free Patch Friday. And that means that every order placed on our store on Fridays is going to include at least one free patch.
All right, hopefully that's a little better. I think they mentioned it in passing one time, because I think I remember them talking about it. But anyway, so consider subscribing to their channel if you want, or just there's so many ways you can support them that YouTube isn't going to pull 30% out of. So YouTube does pull 30% out of everything you contribute over here as a super chat or anything else you might do, channel subscribing or, super stickers and all the rest. All that being said, one of the things I noticed yesterday is Never Enough Ammo had people super chatting him, because he gets a ton of people super chatting him over there. And he has I forget what they called it now. He had some kind of ranking or something. So if anybody feels like super chatting, feel free. I will keep that money and use it to buy things. I would say I'd buy guns with it, but I haven't bought guns and crap forever. So I'll probably end up buying dog food with it. How about that? So if somebody wants to throw super chat money in there, then it'll go to one of these little animals. But I'm curious to see. I don't know if it's like I have to have a certain amount of super chats on my channel to get into that, but they're like rolling it out. And I feel like I'm a big ass channel. They should have given me this first. Like I'm one of the people that usually get stuff first. So anyway, I think that's pretty neat, having a way that YouTube tracks not just super chats, but how many chats people have made or how often they've chatted in the chat. And not only will that encourage people to actually be interactive, which I'm a big fan of, but it's another way that we can give stuff away. I'm looking forward to being able to give stuff away that way. So right now I've got a pile of stuff here for Agorizer that I've got to send out, and I might be missing people. So if I'm missing somebody's stuff, let me know, but we'll have more and more giveaways coming as I figure out how to get a giveaway tool over on this platform that I'm using, which I might not be using very long. I was not super stoked last night having to fight it on a Friday evening. It was pretty lame. All right, so next we're getting to Four Boxes Diner. I'm on the fence with this guy. I respect what he's doing, and I like the way he does it. I don't love his presentation. Not that my presentation is good or anything, but he puts a lot of effort into it, but he's gotten better, right? He's polished it or what, but he won't shut up about the Gundies, which is a scam, and this is sort of clickbait, and everything is big major win. Everything is so good. So I guess go be as pro-Trump as you want, but if you want to be 2A, then quit bringing up everything Trump does is amazing, because this had nothing to do with 2A at all. It was just something he did with something that I don't know. So anyway, 14 minutes, and I don't like clicking on stuff that I don't end up getting anything from. So I'm going to call that clickbait. Thanks for the super chat. Do appreciate it. Here, what I'll do. Where's that boy? Where's my boy? What are you doing? The other day, he had a bum leg. So if anybody's in the mood for feeling good about a puppy, put some feels out there for this little dog, because he's got a bum leg right now. But I'll use the radio audio way of giving him a treat here. These are some Yuma hemp calming chews for stress and anxiety, and he's freaking out right now because he's about to get a biscuit. So he definitely needs to calm down here. Eat your biscuit. Maybe, I don't know. Let me know if you can hear him eating his biscuit. You might not be able to hear him. He's very polite, and he makes no noises when he eats. I'll give him another one. Let me know if you can hear him. All right. So that dog just ate 2 biscuits. So appreciate the super chat. All right. Now he's trying to lick my fingers. Quit it. That's him getting a spanking. I don't know if you can hear that. All right, go back over here. Oh, I just realized I'm not scrolling down. So 2 votes in 33 minutes. Yeah, exactly. What's up with that? We don't have any votes over on the poll. So we do have a poll going. There's a lot of people watching on or listening, I guess, on the X today. So people on X, one, they don't see the poll. The poll's over on the YouTube. That's what the poll looks like. And they're not able to vote on it from X. They'd have to go over to YouTube. Plus, the people on X are scared to have any kind of comments or anything. I rarely get any comments from X, and it's usually from Gizzard if we do. All right. So again, thanks for the comments. Thanks for Guns and Water for showing up. And thanks again for that super chat. Throw that up on the screen. Yeah, they are kind of Scooby sacks. They got hemp in them. Good. Everybody could hear him eating. I'll just leave him here for a little while. Right now, his co-host slot, he doesn't even remember being a co-host probably. His co-host slot is filled up with a catalog I got from eBay, from eBay a while back, and like all kinds of cords and extra pieces from things that I've like opened boxes and set the cords and extra pieces over here for some reason. And I haven't cleaned it up. So there's really no reason he couldn't be the co-host other than I'd have to take about 10 minutes to clean all this area up right now. So let's dig in more to a real thing that isn't clickbait, and that is Walk Talk America. They do their shows inconsistently, but at least when they do them, they tend to do them on Friday mornings. So if you are available on Fridays, which I tend to not be, like 3 things, and Walk Talk America ends up being the 4th thing that stacks up on me on Fridays. But if you are available on Friday mornings, they typically do their lives, if they're going to do them, they're going to do them on a Friday. Sometimes they do them on a Thursday, but if you miss them live, they will put them out. Got the hiccups. They will put them out as a podcast as well. So they had this conversation with Cammie, and she's a U.S. citizen who lives in, I forget if she said Sweden or Norway or someplace like that now, but she grew up with active shooter drills and developed a line of clothing that are bulletproof. And they talked for an hour or something. I only caught the first 20 minutes maybe because I had a bunch of stuff to do on Fridays. But it was an interesting concept. I haven't gone back and listened to it. I'm not the biggest fan of the concept that everyone needs to be concerned about getting shot, since, in my opinion, that's a overblown concern. But if people want to be concerned about it, I guess, and do something about it, right on. It's a free country, right? So that's a conversation with her about that. Then you have another Walk to Talk America where they were talking with Meet the Pressers, the podcast, and this is an audio, so I guess I missed that one. And this is the audio version of it. Guns for Everyone in Colorado went live, I think that was Thursday. For some reason, I think there was about 3 or 4 things happening at the same time. Or was it Wednesday? It was earlier this week, obviously. But I listened to a good chunk of that conversation. And then as soon as they got into the capitalism part of it, I ended up having to ditch out. So I'll have to go back and re-listen to this one. Pull the super chat off. I don't think I'm missing anything. If there's any other, feel free to participate, though, if there are any other observations or questions, or you want to be part of the show. Then we get to, this was a thing I was listening to about the situation in Colorado. I guess that's a good time to mention that, what did I do with it? That over on the Substack, I posted a couple of posts or blog posts, I guess, about the situations in Colorado. You can check that out. I'll put a link here for people on the YouTube. Oh, you know what I should check too? I just thought of it for some reason. Go check the Instagram. We're only streaming to The people who are subscribed to us on Instagram, I don't stream to just internet and Instagram in general anymore. Instagram's too weird. But I don't bother to comment over there. I guess I was thinking I could comment on X also, but someone on X would have to say, yeah, put the links over here. So anyway, there's the links on the YouTube side for a couple of things that I posted over on the Substack. Substack's kind of like a newsletter that you don't have to, you can subscribe to it, but you don't have to worry about getting an email. But if you want to, it can be an email. Does that make sense? So I can just post this stuff on Substack, and I don't mind because it has a pretty user-friendly interface to post over there compared to my newsletter. And if you want a newsletter, you can just tell the Substack to email you when the post goes live. And I've been kind of transitioning my newsletter into that because one, the newsletter costs money, and two, the newsletter system is just difficult compared to all the newer things. It's just clunky and cumbersome to create a newsletter. So effectively, these are sort of like, updates, what you'd consider like or what you might be considered a newsletter. So you can check those out over on the Substack and subscribe if you want. I don't really care. So I was going to say, instead of doing that commercial before, I probably should cue this thing up to, I think it was right around 11 seconds. Eric's about to say, all right, we're getting out of here. And then Massey goes, no, wait, hold on.
Calls matter. You may think.
Yep. All right. So getting back to it. Then we get to this one. And this is the reason I went back and did this show this morning again, is because I was listening to this last night, did the show was shit. So I decided to just end the show and go back to listening to this. And then once I finished, I decided, oh no, I got to go back and finish. I got to go redo this show that I'm doing right now. So Sean Ryan was a SEAL, I guess. And I think he was in the CIA also. So an interesting career. And now he does this podcast. And he's not like Joe Rogan size or nothing, but he's one of the larger podcasts out there. And he does some interesting stuff that people like or don't like, but he does quite a few military interviews. And this is a 4-hour and 20-minute interview with Larry Vickers. So if you don't know who Larry Vickers is, I encourage you to check out this interview. And now you'll know, because it's 4 hours and 20 minutes talking to him. I'd listened to about 3 hours and something. I was like at 3 hours and a half or something of the interview when I did the show last night. And so much stuff happens in that last hour. I don't want to spoil it. But seriously, every question you ever had, Larry gets into. He is an excellent interview. More information than I've ever heard about Delta as well. So definitely worth some time. If you've got any inclination at all, I would check that out. It's already got 330,000 views, and it's only been up since like the middle of the day yesterday. Like I started listening to it pretty much when it came out, I thought. Or did it come out a few days ago? I might be mixing things up. It might have come out a few days ago. Anyway, so next we get another one from Borderlands, and this is the one where she goes up to Canada and talks about basically the uninvestigated, or the number of uninvestigated cargo containers that are making their way through Canadian ports into the United States, and nobody's paying attention because all of our eyes are focused on the international border with Mexico, 100 miles south of me, when the land border with Canada is twice as long, and it's, I think, the largest land border, definitely in the United States. Well, I think it's one of the largest land borders between the two countries. But anyway, we have a ton of places up there where the cartels know that they can just bring the drugs through. So she takes a look at that. Guns for Everyone. This is him walking around and getting mad at everybody for not paying attention to each other, which is abrasive, but it's a good point that, we have a community here. I kind of mentioned that, communities happen, they take effort and they have benefit And there's always going to be responsibility and obligation and potential and opportunity in anything, right? And especially in a community. So part of that obligation or responsibility, whatever you want to look at it as, is to kind of be aware of each other. And that's not something that's assigned, or it's not like we have a system that makes that happen. So it's up to each and every one of us to try to figure out how to accomplish that. Edgar doesn't say it as in a fluffy kitten type of way, but brings up an interesting point. Let's see. Oh, here's NSSF again. So last week they had this guy, I forget what his deal is, but they had this guy who's some kind of expert in the field talk about minute of angle, which was fine. He did a really good job of minute of angle. But I'll insist, and I'll keep saying this, NSSF has other jobs to do. They do not need to teach us what MOA is. This guy can do this in a million other ways. NSSF doesn't have to be involved. I don't like the idea of NSSF wasting any time or money on this. This is not necessary for their role. There's other organizations that don't even need to do this. Like, this can be done without any organization. That being said, last week's was good. This week's was not good. It was back to being boring nerd stuff that only nerds want to hear about. It wasn't translating nerd into normal person, which was useful. This is just nerds being nerds to impress each other with nerd shit. There's not that many marksman people. There's not that many people that understand this stuff, or that think they can understand this stuff, and they don't want to buy the rifle, which isn't appealing to a lot of people. So again, I don't know why NSSF is doing this. We don't have to love everything each other are doing, I don't think. And if they can't handle being told what the fuck every once in a while, then step down. Like, you got a role, and your role is liaison between the industry, government, and you've now taken on the role between community, industry, and government. You don't need to instruct anybody. There's no need for NSSF to instruct anybody on anything except for government regulation and interaction. Anyway, moving on. American Suppressor Association. Knox gets on for 9 minutes and talks about kind of back and forth, oh, I wish suppressor to be removed. And then let's talk about the NFA so much again. So it's frustrating. Glad to see that we're so close. Again, the heavy lifting has happened. We've talked to Congress people. We only get one congressperson to talk to. They have small sectors or whatever. They can easily, there's always another senator or congressperson that they can hide behind or blame. So it's always a tough sell to get those Congress people to do stuff, in my opinion. The senators, there's only two of them. And, you can appeal to one or both, and there's a lot of us. So it should be a pretty easy project to get these senators to understand our position here. So then there's the 9-minute one from the American Suppressor Association, and then there's a 20-minute replay of a conversation he has on one of the radio shows that the American Suppressor Association just replayed or rewinded. I forgot to listen to that, so I was gonna, but I didn't. Next up is another one from Ironclad, but this one is Change Agents. So this guy, I think he's also a SEAL and a CIA. But this guy sits down with this other CIA guy, and they talk about I remember it being medium interesting. Nothing mind-blowing, but medium interesting. I can't remember for the life of me now what they were talking about, though. It might have been about specific people or something. Then we get Gizzard doing his Memorial Day show on Monday. Thanks for hosting every week, Gizzard. He also does a members chat. If you're a member, you know when that is. I guess I posted a couple of mine, or I looked at a couple of my own videos here. This is a Garmin watch that's pretty darn good. This is an old one, so it doesn't have the touch screen, which is driving me nuts because all my other watches have touch screens now. But the features and the ruggedness is beyond. Like, I'll have to do a video of how much more better the Garmin is than any of my other smartwatches. And the features are just super cool. Like having a GPS in your watch is James Bond stuff. It's awesome. My other ones have maps, like my regular smart watches have maps in them, which is neat, but it's not a GPS. It's like a real Garmin GPS in your watch. It's really cool. There's a Civivi knife. Or no, that's a Sencut knife. I don't know why it's in here. I've chopped up one of the Ask Gun Question shows, and I chopped up, I think, one of these shows and put them through the system that, like, there's a robot that'll chop them up and turn them into sushi, turns them into shorts. And those don't go out every day, I don't think. Maybe they do. I don't know. I have the robots put those out. So give me some feedback on what you think about the shorts that happen from these shows. It's not really all that expensive to do it, so I'm doing it to just check it out, sort of. Oh, I'm missing comments. Sorry about that. Unapologetically Armed says, for our information, the Women for Gun Rights DC rally in front of the Supreme Court will be on Sunday afternoon, June 22nd. Right on. Thank you very much. I'm going to pin that one. The Women for Gun Rights organization was founded on the concept of a bunch of ladies go to Washington, D.C., I think once a year is the goal, right? They might do it more than that, or when necessary kind of thing, or when they're called in, or when it's appropriate. But in general, the idea is to go there once a year, no matter what, like once a year. And am I right? You group into like 5, or it might be 3 to 5 ladies, and they go around in groups, and those 3 ladies are going to be from 3 different states. So they're going to meet with 3 different representatives and offer information, offer to be of assistance, catch up. If they've done this for a number of years now, it's possible that the people, if they've been reelected, have created a relationship. I know that the Women for Gun Rights have been invited to some of the congressional firearms caucuses or whatever they're called. So as far as anybody doing anything, nobody does this. The only people that do it are the NRA, and they did it wrong, right? They did it poorly. Then you got GOA doing exactly what NRA did, except, with pennies instead of dollars. And then you got Second Amendment Foundation, doesn't do anything as far as I know. You've got this other one that brings in more money than Second Amendment Foundation and Gun Owners of America together. Still makes nothing compared to NRA, but they're making more money than any of the other organizations put together when they feel like it, and they lobby. But what's the results of that? Question mark. Nobody even knows. So of the people that are able and willing, the Women for Gun Rights is the only one being effective, and the only one that's actually doing it for the right reasons, the only one doing it for real. So it's amazing. And then they group up into 3 to 5 ladies, meet with these representatives, having, what do you call it, like office hours or whatever they call that, like just, kind of some FaceTime. But then if there's 3 ladies, they'll do it with 3 different representatives, and it's mixed, right? So it'll be like a pro and an anti and a pro and an anti or whatever. So nobody's just patting each other on the back, living in an echo chamber only, and nobody is just dealing with the resistance only. And that's got to be, again, I'm sure it's by design, but that the consequence of that has got to be creating a group of advocates that have insight and awareness and knowledge that no one else has ever even attempted to gather or has been able to gather. So epic actions by a bunch of ladies every year. So appreciate your effort. I wish there was a organization that said, here, now you can do it for free, or here, now you can do it and take some time off work comfortably, or now you can do it and bring your spouse. Now you can do it and bring your daughters, that kind of thing. But these organizations that bring in tens of millions of dollars a year have way too many things to do, and only the NRA wastes their money. Why don't I play this again while I clear my throat and drink some more water?
Is the way to get connected to your representative. We talked about a lot of things here that you can send.
Take you all seriously. Status, we're listening to you.
Election. So about short recipe, just want to
think they don't. But in my office, there might be days where I only get 3 phone calls, and I represent 750,000 people. And I have been on the floor of the House of Representatives with members who aren't sure which way to vote, And they've literally asked me, how many phone calls did you get on this issue? And my advice.
So I'm just going to bump that back just a few. I think it was about 11:30. Anyway, so thanks again to Unapologetically Arms for that comment. Hopefully people will support. I know you guys don't even think you have a GoFundMe or anything like that, or like a Patreon, which they should. But if people are interested, seek out the Women for Gun Right representative in your neck of the woods, in your state. And I'm sure there's a way that you can support that lady individually. Larry got boogered over the special operators tax abuse. He talks about it, like everything you want to know. He's awesome. He's a legit dude. He talks about it at the end of that, so worth listening to. Krabby Turtle's joining us. Welcome. Good afternoon. It's afternoon, I think, for you now. Everybody's saying hey. Then nailed it. Pretty cool. Now I know 2 congressmen who used to be in the state legislature. Oh, I see. So that's the thing. People, I think when back in the day, we had a lot more conversations. I hope these conversations are still happening and it wasn't just back in the day. But back in the day when we'd have these conversations, every once in a while somebody would bring this up, and never enough, in my opinion, because it's a big piece. But there's baby politicians, and those baby politicians are, I don't know what they call them, like school board something or another, or the tree trimming specialist, assignment on the city committee or something, and then they get they like it and they stick with it, and they kind of go up, and next thing you know, they're a state assembly person, and the next thing you know, they're a congressperson, and the next thing you know, they're a senator. So that's a good point, that when you go to, it says unapologetically armed, for people that aren't paying attention, as the state representative for the Women for Gun Rights in Missouri, and she often goes to their Congress, I guess, committee meetings, probably mostly, when they're doing their information gathering, or listening to the public's position. And is one of the few people that shows up consistently on issues like concealed carry restrictions on public transportation and other issues that Missouri has not figured out completely. She gets to meet, I guess, technically, but really you're in the same room with them. So even if they don't like you or want to hang out with you, you end up kind of meeting them or understanding them. But when they're when they're cool, then that is super cool to see them, become, well, it's not cool to see people become politicians, but somebody's going to do it, I suppose. So I guess it'd be interesting to say, to see these people grow. And then that is a nice resource to have, is to know them for so long. And then they also know that you're in it, that you've got not just skin in the game, but you've got time on the clock. And that's goes both ways. So again, you can support some dingus schmuck who's like a jerk and wastes their time and just shows off, plays show and tell with their guns. Or you could support ladies that are out there doing stuff, getting things done, becoming the example for the next generation of what activists should be, or could be, or are able to become. Let's see, there's a donate link on Women for Gun Rights. That makes sense, and I probably should mention that more often. So if we go to, wait a minute, hold on. Are you not yeah, you're a moderator. You can, as long as you put in the HTTP and all that in front of it, then you can put in a full link if you want. Like, it'll turn into a full link, if you put the HTTP in front of it. But I'll grab it here. We don't got DJ here. DJ would usually jump on this. But as long as you put that little business in front of it, then you'll see what happens. It turns into an actual link. And you're a moderator, so you can drop those anytime you want. And then if you check out, I guess I can put on screen, if you check out that website and then you click on support, you'll find a way that you can help support the ladies that are getting the work done. All right, so thanks again for that and for the time you put into all this. Let's see. They were both state senators, and I testified in support of both of their pro-gun bill, pro-2A bills. Like I said, pretty cool. Yeah, that is awesome. And then there's the link for anybody that wants to check it out. And see how that worked? Unapologetically Armed said stuff on the text. I was able to click on it, and it became part of the show. So all those people on X that are scared for some reason to do it, you're allowed to do it. Like, it is legal. I don't know, the other people on X have no interest in you saying anything, but we do. You're part of the show. All right, so next we'll move on to a couple of my shorts. Like I said, I got some robots making shorts for me. Let me know what you think. I think I also did it for this video, and this video, just to see what happened. So I took a 1 minute and 39-second video and turned it into 2 shorts, I think. So got that going for me. This is this show. This was last week's show. Now we're back to Wednesday. Oh, there's somebody's members only chat you're not supposed to know about. There's that one again that I don't remember what it was about. And then we get Toby. I was able to watch a couple of Toby shows this week, and he had some pretty good stuff. They're still dealing with the same stuff they're dealing with in Massachusetts, unfortunately, but instead of moping about it or wishing that they'd have more support from the national organizations that are seemingly doing nothing in Massachusetts, as far as I can tell, they're doubling down. They're getting their shit together as a state, and multiple organizations within the state are using the resources they have. And at the same time, they're still not just focusing singly on the persecution or the shitty situation they've got, which is frustrating. When I live next to a bunch of people who have had to deal with that horrible gun situation for a while, I'm pretty far removed from the people on the East Coast that have to deal with it. But paying attention to Massachusetts through the people I know there, and because it's happened kind of recently in such it's amplified so recently in Massachusetts, it's been frustrating to watch over there for sure. There's another members only chat that you're not supposed to know about. If you're a member of some channels, they will have chats that nobody else knows about, member only chats where they get together, and that's again a way to foster some community, some understanding of each other beyond just the superficial. We are better when we are friends. Having a bunch of acquaintances that you assume are on your side, or you assume incorrectly, maybe hold opinions, that's messed up. If you're together standing shoulder to shoulder, that's not the time to figure out that you don't agree on everything. And guess what? Most of us don't agree on everything. We're not walking in lockstep, right? We haven't been given marching fucking orders. So how do we, as humans, as individuals who have a common goal, how do we navigate that? People like fucking Gary, who have a show every week and then have additional efforts put into creating community, fostering friendships and alliances and all the stuff that communities create. Now, when you're going shoulder to shoulder to fight, everyone's strengths and weaknesses. Where everyone stands, so that if you've got left-handed people, you're setting them up on the left-handed line, right? So that you're not crossing fire. And if you've got people that know knives better than sticks, then you're going to put them in the appropriate places so that they can do their jobs most effectively. I'm using dumb examples of some kind of war or something, but in reality, if we've got people that are better at doing this or better at doing that, how do we understand all that? How do we figure that all out? We don't do that on the battlefield. And the battlefield is obviously times like now when we've got effort, we got work to do. We have senators to change their minds and to secure their votes. And the people like Gizzard, people like Hillbilly, others that have shows that keep people together, make us stronger. So I appreciate. That's why I post their stuff as much as I can. There's other people that put videos out every week, but you're their audience. Like, you can get marching orders from people like that, but what good are those? You take marching orders and you throw them in the garbage and you do what you want, right? You do what your friends are going to do and you do what your family needs. So, again, I appreciate, I've seen what happens when we have no community. I've lived a whole world. I've lived a whole lifetime of that. Then we got the internet and we figured out how to use it. And look what we've accomplished with community, with people understanding who each other are, being able to work together and fight alongside each other with understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses. That's why they don't want us online. They want us divided, and they don't want us getting together. They want us to go to platforms where we get offered programming, where we get to absorb content and then leave. We can thumb up and thumb down so that they can get some data for their feedback, but they don't want us to be talking to each other in the process. And, tell me when I'm wrong. We got a bunch of people on X that don't communicate, and I got a bunch of people on YouTube that communicate all the time. Imagine if we had a bunch of Facebook people, they'd be doing it maybe in a different way, but, in a similar unified way. And that's one of the things that I'm glad that this software that I'm using to stream gives me a chance to go to Instagram and to X and to Rumble and to YouTube all at the same time to experience how these audiences are out there, or at least the audiences that watch this, right? I can't know how all the audiences are. Anyway, so we only have a couple of votes still over on the poll. We do have a poll going. So if you're on one of those other platforms, you're not scared, you can go over to YouTube, log in and vote. Doesn't cost nothing. You just have to go do it. And then we'll have more people's opinion on how this week was for 2A. Was it a great week, which some people think it was? A good week, which some people think it was? An okay week, which some people think it was? Or a bad week, which no one thinks it was. Everyone thinks it was not a bad week. Is that because Gizzard was on? It could have been. Let's see. Then we had the gun and gear review. So, they did theirs on Monday, I think, for some reason. Scheduling reason or whatever. Normally this show's on Tuesday, but they crammed into Cork and Gizzard on Monday. There's Clover doing a bunch of Milsurp rifles. Then we've got Forge of Freedom talking to, I forget what she is. She's somebody affiliated with the Tuttle Twins. I think that's a bunch of books for little kids. And this was at the NRA show. So it was an interesting, I've heard of the Tuttle Twins. I never listened to a conversation about it, I don't think. There's some books written for the gun community. This one is pro-rights, but I don't know if they have a specific gun book. Does anybody know? Has anybody given these books to kids? Like, is there a specific story or book even? I don't know how I think they're books, right? So each book is probably some kind of lesson. I don't know if they've approached guns or not in it. Then we get Off the Beaten Path. Learned about this podcast. It's an interesting one. So Gun Club Radio was on, and he must have, I think he posted somewhere that he was going to be on. So I was like, I'll go watch this. And it's interesting because it's two guys that interview people in the gun community, or the second, I call it the gun community. And then they talk on 2A topics, but it's really a gun type of thing. But while they're chatting, the one dude, I think the dude with the beard, is mixing some kind of music. And then at some portion in the show, they play the music that the guy's been creating. So it's kind of neat. And they've had a number of episodes already, and they do that same format all the time. So it's pretty interesting. Again, I dig the idea of somebody evolving the experience of what we got going on online here. There's a lot of screens here. Trying to find that mute button is tough. I'm pretty close to having a different setup. I have a bunch of these like little devices with buttons on them, where you put them on your desk and you just push the buttons to like mute and to change audio stuff. So I'm gonna try playing with that at some point, and I won't have to use my mouse to look for my mute button, I think. I was watching this conversation, which we'll talk about here in a second, which was mind-blowing. Definitely want to listen to this one if you got any time this week or this weekend. You're going to want to listen to this one as soon as possible. But one of the things they talked about was AI somewhere in there. And then I think this guy recommended this book, which is a Chinese science fiction writer, which I don't know if I've ever read anything from a Chinese science fiction writer. So that right away I went, wait a minute, I didn't even think about that, but I don't think I've ever listened or read a book by a Chinese. Well, I've definitely read books by Chinese authors, but not sci-fi. So anyway, that intrigued me, but it's a book that this guy who has some understanding of AI says is a good depiction, I guess, of an AI storyline or something. So, and an AI future, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna go try to find this thing on audiobook, and it's on it. It's on YouTube. You can go get the audiobook and listen to it. Except it is, I think it's like 13 chapters that are an hour long or something. It's huge. It's a massive, 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 massive book. I started listening to it, but I didn't have time anywhere to get anywhere into anything like that. So I barely listened to it just to see what it was like. And somebody AI generated it out of words. So it's okay, but it's not the best AI. It's not horrible. I think it's probably listenable, but that's after listening to it for a few minutes. Whatever, 13 hours, maybe not. But it does have a bunch of views, 14,000 views. Or I guess 14,000 listens, eh? All right, so another Sean Ryan podcast. It says, how is China mining the moon? So I went, well, I've got to listen to that. What's up about that? Well, this guy is an Air Force lieutenant. Okay, so I thought he was a brigadier general. He's a lieutenant general. So that's the 3-star general. There's only 3 and 4 stars. There's only one rank higher than you can get in the Air Force. So this guy was a 3-star general in the Air Force. And if I'm remembering correctly, his role in the Air Force was acquiring new technology and determining what new technology the Air Force would acquire, I guess. So he had his ear to the ground on technology. And when he retired, he created 2 companies. I'm not going to get into it, I don't think, in this show, because we're already an hour into it and nobody's really saying anything out there. I don't want to waste it, but my mind was blown. I haven't been so enthusiastic about a podcast in forever. It's 3 hours. They get into so many things. I'm going to go listen to it again today because I can't wait. I could have been waiting to kind of give it some time so I could listen to it again. If you were at all concerned about your future or your children's future or the future of humanity or the future of planet Earth, go listen to this podcast. It's epic. There's a lot of people that make money on the strife and all that bullshit, but there is an alternative to that, and it is not fake science fiction bullshit. It's like the reality is coming, and it's positive, and it's super optimistic, and there's a reason they're doubling down on all this bullshit, because the optimistic, inevitable future is where they can't anymore. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty fucking cool. So if you're at all pessimistic, if you've been down, take a listen. It's going to take 3 hours. I suspect I've only listened to it the one time, so I'm going to listen to it again. But I suspect there's probably chapters in it. You can listen to this in pieces. It's not like a story where it's not like a narrative where you have to listen to the whole 3 hours or you miss something at the end. It's just a bunch of so many different topics that they talk about, and you could definitely pick it apart and just listen to pieces. Worth your time, worth listening to it with your kids, worth listening to it with old people. I've been sharing it with old people and with friends, and well, a lot of people weren't ready for it. They didn't think, they'd never put any thought into this. I certainly never did. Definitely one of the best things you can listen to in a while. Let me know what you think when you listen to it. I'd definitely be interested in having a conversation about any of these things. Hopefully some of the people that I chat with will listen to this show so we can chat about some of these things. And I really look forward to seeing these things as they evolve and as they happen. Let's see. Then we get Barbecue. Remember Barbecue? He used to be a co-host on this show. He does have a show still, or he did do a show at least. He knows how to do a show. So I think he did one and then he did his own show, and that's what this is him just, no, I forget how it went. Did he only do or fill in for Rich, or did he also do another show? I forget. But whatever it was, they were bitching about the Altor, so I quit listening because I can't listen to people bitch about guns. It's a weakness of mine. I think it's lame to bitch about guns. I don't like a ton of guns, and I think 9mm is stupid, but I don't sit around bitching about guns. So I decided to make a blog post about the Altor, which is a fucking cool gun. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Then we get Gun Owners Radio. Like I say, they do a premiere now. It's kind of live. I don't know. Mike White knows. There's probably about 20-something people that show up. Maybe not every week, but there's like 20-something of us that do show up. So again, building community. If you're going to build community, you can build community build community around somebody trying to sell you something. You can build community around people trying to waste, to just fill time because they're bored on a weekend. Or you could build community around people who are have goals, achieve those goals, and accomplish more. And that's what Gun Owners Radio's community is all about. I enjoy hanging out with those folks. In California, it seems like a no-win, like it seems like a completely uphill. But I don't want to say but because I don't know. But I live right here, so I'm constantly paying attention to it. I don't think they're doomed. I don't think they have no options. I think that it sucks right now, and it's been shitty for a little while, but they're not they're not done. I watched your Altor video and bought all the extra barrels. Man, I need to get one. The guy, I think he probably would have sent me one. I never took him up on it because that's not my thing. But fucking, I can't stand it when people bitch about guns. It just seems so dumb. Bitch about anti-gunners, like, go fucking nuts. But complaining about eating ourselves, like, it just doesn't make no sense. Then we get the USA shooting, which I thought was pretty cool. So who does the USA shooting? The Olympics. Who does that? Is that the NRA? The NRA doesn't do shit. So it couldn't be the NRA. It must be GOA. It must be SAF, or it must be one of the other ones, right? No. So anyway, they went live for 5 hours and 24 minutes. A lot of it was boring, but I don't care. Like, a lot of it, was just nothing. Like, it was just their logo. But at least they went live. It wasn't ideal. It wasn't perfect. But it's our USA shooting. Like, it's our main... Well, there's lots of different shooting sports, but it's our, like... what do they call it? It's the national level shooting sports. So, and this was the national championships. So for all the folks that are participating in that, and for all the people who don't even know it exists, and for all the folks that might look back in the future at what has happened, I appreciate that they posted this stuff. Again, we've got the internet here to our use. Like, think about how people don't think about, because you can't know. But so many things happen in our community, in the gun community, or ideally the Second Amendment community. Most of the Second Amendment stuff gets posted online because those folks are in need of support and they want to justify their existence and that kind of thing, where the competitive stuff has some interest in being online, but they're usually too busy. And then other stuff is either trying to sell you something, so it's useless, or it's just playing around and wasting everybody's time, so it's useless. So to see stuff that's got use and it's got a goal to be doing it online, I think it adds to the overall mix. I'm glad to see it out there. Let's see. Mike White is saying there are a few regulars that show up, about 10 to 20 on the Sunday show. Okay. Yeah, I'd say about 10 of us show up of 20. Maybe that's a good way to say it. I guess I filmed some clouds with the one phone and I looked at that for some reason. Then we've got Brooke doing Mental Health Matters on Memorial Day. I don't know what happened. I thought she starts. I don't know what time she starts. I need to actually figure it out because I constantly miss the show being an hour late. And I think she does the show at the same time all the time. I just can't remember what time the show starts. A lot of times I'm doing my show with Tony and then I leave to go get something to eat or something. And then I forget to get back here fast enough. But it's the only effort that happens on a regular basis that Brooke puts effort into focusing on mental health awareness. So we can talk about our broken arms. We'll talk about getting jabbed in the eye. I don't have a problem telling you if like my I got stuck on a piece of nail or something and lost a chunk of my toe. Like, we can talk about that all day and night. Some people might not want to hear the gory details, but the concept of you squishing your toe or getting your leg broke, nobody even cares, right? Like, that's just no big deal. It's part of being a human. You talk about your dogs getting a broken leg or something. It's unfortunately happens sometimes, I'm sure. I'm not trying to wish that on anybody. But again, we can talk about broken and cut and poked and all that kind of stuff. But when we talk about mental health, like, oh, I'm not feeling good. Everybody tune. I don't know. Answer is, what happened? Am I still here? My computer just freaked out and threw a bunch of what messages at me. Give me some feedback. Am I still on? Testing. Put a commercial up here.
One is the way to get connected to your representative. We talked about a lot of things here that you can sound off on, taking suppressors out of the NFA, taking short barrel firearms out of the NFA, and also the Safer Voting Act. These are all good things. Oh, and reciprocity as well. All good things that need to be pushed across the finish line. So just want to thank you.
Okay, perfect. That's where I can cue it up for the next time then. Thanks for the feedback. Like I said, a bunch of messages came up telling me my microphone doesn't work anymore. Maybe it's listening to a different microphone now. Anyway, thanks, Brooke, for having a consistent effort to normalize the conversation about mental health. And then, of course, suicide prevention. You can't talk about suicide on YouTube. They've literally given me channel strikes. They'll kick me. They'll block her channel for talking about suicide awareness, suicide prevention, as if it can't understand that there's some way to talk about the subject without being negative. It's ridiculous. And yeah, I'm still getting those messages about my microphone, so it's freaking me out. But at some point, I think it's destructive. I think YouTube is trying so hard not to hurt that they're causing harm by not allowing people to have conversations. But we all know as gun owners that we get attacked because of the danger and the number of people that die from guns. Well, the danger is a perception issue, and people might be afraid of the danger of heights or the danger of vehicles or the danger of fire. But it's unrealistic fear if they stand in the middle of the street and get afraid of fire, right? Like, if you're standing in the desert and you're afraid of heights, you're wrong. You're delusional. So when someone stands in a society that has firearms and very few deaths or damages from firearms and complains that it's an epidemic and that they're in fear, well, they're the ones that are delusional, and we need to be able to talk about that. The suicide part of it is the numbers that they use against us is 2 out of 3 of those is suicide. And that's a completely different issue than let's take guns away from people. That's let's help people and figure out who's and why. And we already know who and why, because we are affected by this, by being persecuted for the fact that it's happening, and our property and our rights are at risk because it's happening. Of course, we're going to pay attention. But once we pay attention, we figure out that 22 of those a day are military, and that most of the people that are affected by suicide with firearm are people that are in the firearms community. So of course we're affected by this, and of course we have an interest in seeing it minimalized or ended completely if possible. But that none of that has to do with the strategies that the antis are suggesting. And because we can't talk about this amongst ourselves, or we don't talk about it amongst ourselves because it's not encouraged for us to have the ability to have this conversation, the other side uses that gap, uses that lack, uses that gap, I don't know what to call it, like uses that cavity of our ability. They use that against us. And of course they are. They're weak. They're going to use anything they can against us. So what are we going to do? Allow the weakest, laziest assholes to use something against us? Or are we going to get strong and do something about it? Well, Brooke is the only person on the planet Earth that's doing something every Saturday to do something about that, to battle it by bringing it to our attention and give us the ability to have conversations about it amongst ourselves and with the antis who hate our property and our rights. So again, you can put your efforts and your time and your clicks, and she's not asking for any money. She's just there doing it. But if you want to appreciate it, you can show her appreciation by showing up, by linking and sharing. And right now she had 24 views to her last episode. What if that was 240? What if that was 24,000? What right does some of these assholes have to get clickbait titles and basically reiterating or regurgitating what someone else already said about news of the day? Where do they get off getting 27,000 views? And Brooke, who's actually putting genuine, valid effort into changing the dynamic, 24 views. So we got more people than that watching right now. If those people wanted to do something that was so fucking easy, all you have to do is wait for her show to show up on the list of subscribed videos and share it. That's all you got to do. And then that number turns to 240. And when 240 people share it, guess what happens? 2,400. And when 2,400 people share it, guess what happens? 24,000. It's pretty simple math. And it happens all the fucking time. It's just usually engineered by people who are trying to sell you some fucking optic, some stupid ass grip angle, or some stupid new trigger. You don't need any of that crap. What we do need is an end to the persecution of our property and our rights. And there's ways to get rid of that. And it has to do with being aware and not taking shit for granted. Anyway, I'll move on. That's my nagging of the day. How to dam the AK-12 dust cover for removal. Interesting that one of the gunsmiths up in Las Vegas, who deals with gunsmithing on a level that's never happened on planet Earth before, is offering his insight and some kind of over-the-shoulder views of specific work on, in this case, an AK-12, a variant that years ago wouldn't even expect to ever see in this country, let alone be seeing maintenance due to overuse. So I think one of the neatest facets about my adventures in all of this gun community, gun industry, I guess, life, is that I live next to Vegas, so I've had the opportunity to be going there for a long time. And I think it was about 12 or by 14, there was already about 7 or 8 of them. But I mean, there's always been the gun store, and there's always been the other one on Prump Highway or whatever it's called. There's always been 2 places in Vegas where you could rent machine guns. But somewhere around like 9 or 12, it became a thing to have tourism to shoot machine guns in Vegas. Like, that became a destination to go to Vegas to shoot machine guns. And we started to see more. We started to see excursions into the deserts around Vegas, like as a event. We started to see more and more ranges pop up. So as that happened, of course, some of them stuck around and some of them came and went. But as that happened, the ones, especially the ones that stick around, I'm going to think of Range 702. No, I'm going to think of Battlefield Vegas as one. Battlefield Vegas started in like 13 or something. They're still strong. So that's 12 years of people going in there daily and shooting machine guns. There's no training units, even Delta Force. I mean, maybe Delta Force, but there's no normal training units out there that are putting that kind of rounds through a firearm. Just not necessary, and it's not practical. It's just too many rounds. Like, no one needs to train that hard. They have other things to train for. So it's just not necessary and practical. And plus, it just wears out guns. So, some police will train more than others, but just no one is training at an obscene level. And what the guns at the recreational shooting ranges do is shoot every day, like every single day. They shoot out barrels constantly. They break every part of these guns because they're constantly being used. Maybe not every single gun is constantly being used, but over the course of time, these guns, each individual gun, is getting used more than any of its brothers and sisters ever got used as they were designed to be used. So it's just an interesting facet. And I don't know if enough people are paying attention to that. So every once in a while, when I get a chance to nerd out, I chat with M13 as a gunsmith up there in Vegas who's into AKs. and he's let me hang out and just bother him. And I've had him on as an interview and stuff. But because I'm interested in AKs and he's gotten such a massive amount of experience with them, we've chatted about AKs before. But then I've chatted with him a little bit about that facet of just the number of, and think about that, that's just AKs, but they're shooting Uzis and Thompsons and M16s and M60s, like everything you can imagine somebody would want to go up there and rent. Some gunsmith is fixing that thing, and that's a whole industry now. The amount there's whole levels to this. There's the interaction with firearms that is happening internationally. So there's the ambassadorship of firearms. Sure, it's kind of recreational. It's machine guns, so it's obscene, it's over the top, but it is, and it's gives Americans the idea, gives them that, like, it leans into that, America's full of guns or whatever. But we are full of guns, and we're not as scared of them, and you are allowed to just shoot them recreationally here. So giving international people a taste of that, good. Like, we're not putting it away. We're not going to not do it just because they're international. So right on, good on them. They get to see our freedom here, right? But then there's all of us, people in the States that can't do it, or people that just can't afford it. Like, it's an opportunity for people to just get up there and shoot. So there's that whole aspect of it. Then there's the aspect of what guns are they even shooting? Are they shooting replicas? Are they shooting real ones? Like, are they shooting, what are they shooting? Like, how many parts in this gun have been repaired, replaced, or modified to where, is it even the same gun anymore? I mean, do you call the receiver the gun? Do you call the barrel the gun? You really can't call the barrel the gun on anything in Vegas, because they shoot out their barrels constantly, I would imagine. So, I mean, even a revolver could potentially get its barrel shot out in a place like Vegas. Do they repair a revolver, or do you just replace a revolver? I guess that's the question. Anyway, there's a lot to this, and one of the ways you can kind of see or have insight to that whole thing is to watch M13 Industries. They don't post a lot. They do a lot on Instagram, but when they do, it's interesting. And again, it's mind-blowing how he's able to talk about specifics of gunsmithing on something that no one would have even thought would have been made. But even if 10 years ago this would have been able to be imported, no one ever would have shot it to the point where it's falling apart. Like, you'd shoot it a little bit, you'd shoot it once in a while, you'd take it out on a weekend, you'd take it out when your friends are over or something, you'd show it off or something, you'd shoot it in a video. Like, you shoot the thing occasionally, right? Like, no one is shooting these things to where pieces are falling off or parts are wearing out or breaking. It's awesome. We live in a cool time right now. And Dragon Man. We haven't even talked about Dragon Man yet. Let's see. Now we'll move on to 4 boxes. Breaking news: Trump moves to undermine DOJ. I don't know. I'm not saying he's clickbaity, but he's getting clickbaity. I never heard of this chick before. I was going to go off on this chick. I don't want to go off on her specifically, but I just was doing something. I seen this thumbnail. I never like seeing a flag written on. It's weak. So whenever I see somebody writing on a flag, I assume that they're exploiting, I don't know, patriotism or some bullshit. And then when you see a chick with her whole body out there, you think, well, she's not trying to not show you she's a chick. So what's up with this? And then she has a bunch of videos saying she's not a, she doesn't say booth babe, gun something. Whatever, it's a thirst trap. So we get thirst trap channels every once in a while, and this one's at 68,000. I don't know. It's like I say, maybe I'll chat with Tony or something. Then we got to Dragon Man Memorial Day weekend tour. 72 people. That's actually not that bad. There was 100 people showed up, I think he said, for day one. So I kind of figured Memorial Day might be even more packed. But I've got something happening. There might be a potential to hit Dragon Man this year. Really looking forward to that. I haven't seen the museum now for holy crap, 6 years, I think. I hope that's not right, but it might be that long. I kind of feel like I've watched the museum through the videos. I usually watch all the long videos, and people like Honda who go and film on their own, I usually watch those because they're looking at everything. So I feel like I've been through the museum multiple times in those 6 years, but going back would be pretty cool. Oh, unapologetically armed is taken off. Thanks for joining us. I know we're doing this at a weird time. This is not a regular deal. Like I said, I just had a bunch of stuff that I really wanted to chat about, and last night I was fighting the technology and it won. Now we get another. So before we were talking about the USA shooting, the national championships for skeet. This is the Bianchi Cup. So I think last week they were doing some of the men's stuff probably, and then this week it's the ladies, I guess. So she's from Australia and she's winning our Bianchi Cup. So that's the CMP. And is it NRA? Question mark, question mark. Nah, the NRA doesn't do nothing. Then we get, I don't know why I was looking at that Civivi knife. I don't know why I was looking at it. I must, every once in a while I look at my own videos, I guess. Then you got Toby on Sunday. So Toby does a show. Toby's from Cape Gun Works in Massachusetts. Friend of the channel, friend of the show. And we've been watching his show. I was minding my business one Sunday morning, and I had my radio on. Back in the day, I used to listen to my radio. Not Dick Heller, but my friend Charles Heller here in Tucson, who's the real Heller. He's one of the 4 guys that started this Arizona Citizens Defense League, which in a couple of years after their forming, had created a constitutional carry here in Arizona, which was the first state to actually do it instead of just be Vermont that didn't have anything. So we got the ball rolling. It means those 4 dudes got the ball rolling, means that Charles is one of the 4 dudes that got constitutional carry happening in the United States. So it's a pretty cool dude. Anyway, so he's on a radio show forever. I used to listen to his show on the Rexual radio, and I had my radio on, and like after his show, a couple hours after his show, actually, I just was walking into my room and my radio was on, and I heard him talking about guns, and it wasn't Charles's show. So I was like, what is this? And it was a syndicated episode or a syndicated segment from Cape Gunworks, from Rapid Fire Radio Show. And sure enough, Toby was talking about guns, and I tuned in again the next Saturday, and they talked about their website, and I booked over to their website, and I started listening on the regular that weekend, or whatever, that Wednesday, I guess, and I've been a fan ever since. So Toby has a unique ability as a gun shop owner and somebody who's been a gun owner his whole life to just understand guns. He's like a gun guy, so he can have a conversation with you about guns, if it's gunsmithing, if it's reloading, if it's hunting, if it's taking something to the range, if it's training. Like, he's got a pretty good grasp on all of it and some experience at all of it, and an ability to be able to talk about it, which it's not unique or nothing. Like, most guys at gun shops are able to talk about guns and hold their own, right? But Toby's able to do that on the mic and with the, fumbling around with the mic radios and the telephones and all the call-ins and all that kind of stuff. And he's covered enough radio show guest spots and like covered the spot for somebody when they go out sick, or maybe when she had her baby or whatever, he took over for a while. So he understands like the nuance of like all the juggling of a show, and he takes it in stride. So listening to his shows are enjoyable. And now, unfortunately, Massachusetts is getting wailed on. He's been able to incorporate that into the juggle, into his routine, and keep everybody and people in Massachusetts up to date on the, the uphill battle that they've got there, and at the same time keep it upbeat. So anyway, you can listen to that tomorrow afternoon on the radio, and then Tuesday he's on with I can't think of her name, with the 2A Tuesday segment with the radio show from Boston, and then on Wednesday he has his own show. He hosts a 2-hour show on Wednesdays you can watch on YouTube. Totally worth listening to. One of the best conversations. There's no hype. There's no exploitation. If you shop at the store, awesome, but he's doing the show for everybody. So Toby's real. Worth listening to. Travis, friend from Nebraska, right? Doesn't post much anymore, but posting about some kind of a grid system. I think it's rubber. I think it's like a big rubber mat with these square holes, and you use these square pegs to kind of make standoffs and like shims and stuff. It's a pretty interesting concept. I think I mentioned the mouse party earlier. Tonight there'll be a mouse party, And last week, if you can't get enough mouse parties, you can go back and listen to the overnight mouse parties for the last 30 weeks. And then before that, there was another show. So thanks again to Foss for keeping people together. And more importantly, it's so easy to keep people together during the day. Everybody's awake during the day. It's normal. It's like what people expect. It's easy. So what happens during the night? Nothing happens, right? Everybody goes to sleep, right? The whole world shuts down. No, in reality, like a third of the people on planet Earth are waking up and doing everything that everyone takes for granted. Everything gets cleaned, everything gets reset, everything gets moved, everything gets adjusted. And in the morning, everybody just takes it for granted that the robots came out and fixed everything. But again, shift people, drivers, everybody who's doing the work overnight has something to listen to that's live and focused on 2A because of Foss. Oh yeah, Grace Curley, thank you. I couldn't think of her name for some reason. So 2A Tuesday on the Grace Curley Show with Toby. Thanks for that. So yeah, you can listen tonight, the overnight. And again, you can share that around if you wanted. More people will show up. Before that is Guns and Barbecue. No, is Hillbilly Up. Took Guns and Barbecue slot a long time ago. And then you got me and Tony do the Ask Gun questions. Somewhere in there would be Brooke. And I guess I didn't watch it last week, so it didn't show up in the right time frame. Then you get the stuff before last week. So that's it. That's the show. So thanks again. If you get any takes from this one, you're going to want to listen to, where did it go? You're definitely going to want to bring up the Sean Ryan show and listen to this one with the Air Force Lieutenant General. Definitely worth your time. And then if you're at all interested in what happens with Larry Vickers, 4 hours and 20 minutes, or if you give a shit about Delta Force. But I've listened to a lot of stuff with dudes from the unit, and I don't know, Larry just is in a different level or something. So he told you a whole bunch of stuff that no one's ever told you before. So that's interesting if you're into that, and if you're just interested in his career, an epic career, there you go. Yeah, I better head out of here. You're right, because if I keep going, I might as well just stay on with Tony. So thanks everybody for joining us at an off time. I'm going to quit screen sharing here and again, nag the people on Instagram that you don't have to just listen. Like you're not being programmed. You're allowed to interact with the internet and type stuff. I'm gonna go over to Instagram. Nobody said stuff over there. So I'll end that one, and we'll see you next week. Well, actually, I'll see you in a couple hours. But hope everyone has a good week. A lot of good stuff happening right now. Be optimistic. Go watch that interview with the Air Force Lieutenant General and be optimistic for the future of humanity and planet Earth. It's amazing.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.